Abducted in Plain Sight is available to stream and download on Netflix now. The 90-minute documentary looks into the extraordinary story of the Broberg family and their daughter January. Jan was kidnapped twice as a child by a family friend and neighbor Bob B. Birch told. Read on to find out more. Who are the Brobergs? The Brobergs are at the center of the Netflix documentary that everybody is talking about. Husband and wife, Bob Broberg and Mary Ann Broberg had 3 daughters together, Jan, Karen, and Susan. In October 1974, Jan at 12 years old was abducted by their family friend and neighbor B, who they had met through the Mormon church. Following the order, Mary Ann and Jan wrote the book Stolen Innocence, the Jan Broberg story which the documentary is based on. The documentary looks into how the kidnapping took place and the complicated events that followed involving her parents and their relationships with B. Will there be another Abducted in Plain Sight? Both Bob and Mary Ann had relationships with Bob after Jan had been kidnapped by B the first time. Sky said, "When I read the book I had so many questions. I didn't understand how something like this could happen. I wanted to find out how a little girl could be kidnapped twice by the same man in a 2-year span of time. That's really what drew me to the story, wanting to find some answers. Speaking exclusively to Express.co.uk, Sky Borgman said, "Meeting the Brobergs was like meeting any other family. Brobergs are very kind and giving people. We met at a local barbecue restaurant and had dinner together and then we went to their home. We chatted about family. Bob played the piano with the grandkids. We made cookies and spent time together. We talked a little bit about what the interviews that were coming up in the next few days, but we didn't eat well on it. How to watch Abducted in Plain Sight online." She added, "The interviews were hard on everyone and they were long. Most of the interviews lasted from 8 to 10 hours, so they were emotionally and physically exhausting. There were times when everyone in the room was crying and we would take a little break, make a joke, have a drink of water and get back to it. I do believe that the interviews were cathartic for the Brobergs. They were ready to tell their story." Borgman also teased a potential second series which may look deeper into the Broberg family. She said, "I would love to do a follow-up film or series. There is so much to be explored that we touched on in the film. To have the opportunity to dive deeper into the topics of faith and forgiveness, grooming, brainwashing, shame and denial, patriarchal institutions and the unquestioning authority they are given, the long-reaching effects on family and recovery. I know that dancers want to see more and we are hoping we can give it to them." In an interview with Vanity Fair, Borgman hinted that a second season may explore the role of religion and the Broberg family's faith in season 2. As members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the family had a lot of forgiveness following what B put them through. What happened to Jan Broberg? Jan Broberg felt was kidnapped aged 12 and again at age 14 by Robert B. Birch told in the 1970s. She was groomed, molested and raped by B who was in his 40s. Jan was brainwashed by Bob and was led to believe that she had been taken away by aliens for a special purpose. She was also brainwashed into believing that to complete her special mission she would have to have a child with B. Jan was threatened that if she did not complete this mission, her father and sister Susan would be vaporized. During the first kidnap, B had taken her to Mexico in his motorhome from her home in Pocatello, Idaho. He had taken Jan to Mazatlan, Mexico to marry her, where the legal age of marriage was 12. Jan was missing for 5 weeks in total and it took 5 days for Jan's parents to report her kidnapping in fear that it might upset Birch told his wife, Gail. B was also able to manipulate Jan's parents and convinced them to drop the original kidnapping charges against him, alongside letting him spend more time with their daughter. B blackmailed Jan's parents, threatening to expose their separate affairs, leading them to sign affidavits that claimed he had consent to take Jan to Mexico. He was able to convince them by having a fake therapist say it would help his recovery from the abuse he suffered as a child at the hands of his aunt. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison for the first kidnapping offense but only served 45 days of his sentence. He was able to remain in contact with Jan, and again in 1976 he kidnapped Jan for a second time, taking her to Los Angeles, California. B has enrolled Jan in a Catholic boarding school under a false name to keep her away from her parents. It was not until age 16, Jan realized that everything she had been told was a lie and that she was a victim of grooming and assault at the hands of B. Borgman commented, "I understand why some people blame Jan's parents, but there are complicated issues at play. Jan's parents were manipulated as well, and I think that's why child abuse still happens today. If we were all as smart as we think we are, no child would be abused. People become blind to what is happening right in front of them because it is simply too hard to believe that it is someone that we know, love and trust doing this. It is really a stranger." She added, "I know that people blame Jan's parents and think that this could never happen to them. And for those people, I'd love to ask them to take a second and check on your kids, check on the people who have access to your kids and listen to your gut." Abducted in Plain Sight is streaming on Netflix now. This article contains affiliate links, which means we may receive a commission on any sales of products or services we write about. This article was written completely independently. See more details here.